I'm Marina. This is Michelle. And we've been reselling since late 2018 in October. And Mrs. Taylor 503 says, "Hi, I've been listening to your binge listening
to your
podcast. Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
If you haven't already, please rate us. We are a newer podcast, and we recently started uploading daily, and we hope that the topics that we discuss with you guys are useful. Something I learned from my father when I was a kid, and my father used to have my mom and dad used to have a financial investment company, and my father used to spend a lot of money going to trainings, and he was a happy camper if he just learned one new thing that he could implement in his business. So I got my knack for learning from that idea, right? So I do the same thing. You know, I spend a lot of money learning, trying to learn the reselling business. You don't have to spend a lot of money, but I have done that. And I'm a happy camper because I always learn a lot.
Good morning, everyone.
But yeah, anyway, good morning, Shop and Rock. Good morning, Lynn's Closet LLC. Good morning, I am the trend. How's everyone doing? So this coffee and questions is just kind of like a relaxing way to have a conversation around reselling topics. Mm-hmm. Good morning, 324 Finds. Good morning, Ria Sells. Thanks for joining us this morning. So basically, I drink 1 cup of coffee every day, and I drink it with you guys right here during this live. And Michelle and I upload, this live will stay on IG for 24 hours, but we upload it to our podcasts, which is the Flippin Gal podcast on Apple Podcasts and Spotify Podcasts. So, a morning rainy from Washington. Oh, that sounds amazing. And then in Florida, Shop and Rock says it's 11:22 here in Florida. What's the weather like, Mariana? And if you guys have any questions during this time that you would like for us to display so it's easier to read for everyone, please click on the little question mark sticker below and submit it there, and then we can display it for everyone to read. So yesterday during
our live
coffee and questions, there was a really good question about pricing and strategies. So if you guys can please make sure to chime in, tell us how you price things as we go through kind of the way we price things and give some basic pricing tips. 324 Fine says 1. I would be dead with just 1 cup. How many cups do you have, Bill? Lynn's Closet says bright and sunny in South Florida. Very good. And Shop and Rock, which is Mariana, says it's high 80s and sunny. Oh my goodness. And then Mrs. Taylor says, haha, me too. Yeah, I wish I could do more, but I get like really shaky after 1 cup. So
how's everyone's sales going? Has COVID impacted your sales?
How were sales last week? How were your guys' sales last week? Our sales were picking up a little bit last week, but we did start a challenge. So before you guys go anywhere, join us. Thanks to 324 Finds, Bill, who's in the chat right now. Thank you. So he let us know that 17 was like the magic number, especially with Poshmark. And we started doing a 17 item a day challenge this week. So if you haven't joined already, please put in the comments how many items you listed yesterday. Now, if you don't have new inventory, that's okay, because you can relist, right? So you can take old inventory and you can just list that again.
Yeah.
We did that. We've been doing that, and we've sold some stale inventory for really good prices.
Yeah.
So we're really happy about that.
So certainly relisting helps. And also, strategize on what you relist. For us, summer is coming up. So try to pick up items that people would buy during this time.
So 324 Fine says that Tori's closet is blown up today. Congratulations. Is that from the
17
a day? I am the trend says when it first struck, I did really well starting an auction on Poshmark. Ooh, I wonder how that works.
Wait,
An auction on Poshmark.
On Poshmark?
And then 324 Fine says 21 last week. 21 in sales?
Items.
Oh,
yeah.
nice. That's really good. And Lynn's Closet says, hi, Mariana. The trend says, kind of stopped trying until our thrift stores reopen. And 324 Fine says 5 relisted. Awesome. Yeah, that's actually really good. Given that you guys are working on making masks and you have a whole lot more going on. So, all right, we're going to get started with the topic of pricing.
All right. So, number one basic strategy, of course, is always check on the comps when on different selling platforms. So when you go sourcing, whether it's at a garage sale, I don't know what's wrong with me, or thrift store.
I wish there was a garage store. That'd be awesome.
Right? Like all the garage sales go into one store.
That'd be awesome, yeah.
Always go on eBay, Mercari, Poshmark, and check on the sold items. And I've put in a couple of screen grabs here. On eBay, you can totally see the sold items the last 30 days. Mercari as well, and also Poshmark. So my tip would be don't rush into buying things, even if you're at a garage sale. Always check on the comps because this is going to impact your pricing.
Yeah, I mean, and we do that sometimes. Like I just learned about online estate sales, and I went a little crazy. I bought so much within like 30 minutes. So yeah, definitely don't do that.
So in addition to the different platforms, there is an app called Sellhound. Have you guys heard of Sellhound?
Does anyone use Sellhound to look up comps? So comps are just like the prices sold of things. I know in real estate, when they're pricing a house, they use the same word comps. So in real estate, I'm teaching a real estate class for ESL, English as a Second Language. So I'm not a real estate agent, but I know a little bit about it. And they also use the word comp. So real estate agents look to see what the prices sold in the neighborhood are before they choose a price for the house that they're selling. So we're doing the exact same thing when we are pricing our items.
Yeah, so for those of you who don't know Sellhound, it actually checks all the different main platforms on pricing. So let's say you have a anthropology blouse, and you could simply type in whether it's new or used. You type it in there. It would spit out all the sold pricing and listed pricing across eBay, Grailed, Mercari, Etsy, and Poshmark.
Mm-hmm. And some other platforms as well,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So just wanted to say hello to Aiken, aka Jen Penn. Good morning. Thanks for joining us. And good morning to Sarah Styles LLC. Thanks for joining us this morning. All right. So if you haven't already, Sellhound is free.
They also have another service, right?
They do. They also have a service where they can list on eBay for you. So like a virtual assistant kind of service. Mm-hmm. We have not used that. Mm-hmm. We have our own virtual assistant that we use. All right. So you said to check on eBay, Mercari, Poshmark, Solds, and Sellhound. And there's also a couple other places that you could check. There's Terapeak, which is part of eBay. Mm-hmm. So I have an eBay account. It's free on eBay. And there's also an app that we use called Completely, which you pay a couple bucks. It's on iPhones. And I think that's it.
Yeah.
Are there any other places besides what we talked about where you guys check for comps? Oh, I know Bill said last time he does like a Google search, right? And then Sarah Styles says, I like Completely too for sell-through rates. Same, totally. And then do you guys know of any other apps that have sell-through rates besides Completely?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so what's number 2 say?
So number 2 is just it's just a general rule. If you, let's say, go to Marshall's or Ross and you find some new items, and it's always helpful to check the retail price too.
Okay, so it says check the retail price.
Yeah. And in terms of pricing, it really depends. This is just like a general rule, assuming that the products are still in stock. But if it's something that they don't sell anymore at the store, if it's something that's sold out, you definitely have a leverage to kind of up the pricing. The general rule is, market a little bit lower than what they sell at retail.
So Sarah Styles LLC says, Chris from Daily Refinement was showing a Chrome extension for eBay, but I don't remember the name of it.
Oh, cool.
And I am the trend says sometimes items can be rare too,
exactly.
or high demand. For sure, yeah. So when we don't find items that have comps, then we do what Michelle just said, which is we'll just go on Google and we'll check to see if what was the retail price for those items. Oftentimes we have items that are no longer for sale. Guys, this is gold. If you find something, anything that is no longer for sale and not a lot of people are selling them, then you can almost name your price on that because people want it. People want stuff that are limited edition or that have run out.
Mm-hmm.
So there we go. Number 3.
Do you want to talk about it?
Actually, we have something here where it says check the retail price. And we have a recommendation. It says you can go 15 to 30% lower than the retail price. So this recommendation stands if the item is still for sale at the retail store, right? Although I can say that we did sell an item for about 20% above retail price. So I could tell you guys that story. But if there are other items out there that are for sale brand new, go below that 15 to 30%. So someone will buy yours because it's cheaper and in good condition, right? However, the exception is if they don't make that anymore, right? So we have some like streetwear, limited edition, some collaboration items, skater clothes that people want, but they don't make it anymore. They're in really good condition. So we're not going to, we may even sell it at the retail price just because there's no more, right?
Exactly.
And they're in high demand.
Yeah.
But the story is, there was this one time where Michelle got a brand new blender from work. It was like a prize she got from work. We don't need a blender. We have a blender already. And so I listed the blender on OfferUp for $25. Excuse me. So I listed it on OfferUp for $25. And Michelle was like, wait a minute. I found it at Walmart brand new for $20. She's like, you got to list it below that. Well, within a few minutes of that, it sold for $25 on OfferUp. So Michelle was a little bit like dumbfounded, and I was like, you know what? I'm not really that surprised. Are you surprised about that? Tell us why you are or why you're not in the comments. I wasn't surprised, and this is my theory. So my theory is whoever's shopping on OfferUp, right? There's a shopper there's a customer for Target, there's a customer for Walmart, there's a customer for Ross, there's one for Marshall's, there's one for Nordstrom, there's one for Macy's. So same thing with our platforms that we're selling on, right? The customers, let me know if you agree or not, are different for every platform. And so for OfferUp, this woman was shopping there for a blender. And she saw a brand new blender for $25. She was like, that's reasonable, I'll buy it. Yeah. And so it sold like that. So there are definitely a few times we've done stuff like that before. So keep that in mind. So let's see here. Let's see, where are we? I want to read your guys' comments to you. So I am the trend said they might get you on pricing. They might guilt you on pricing. They might. Sarah Styles LLC says depends on the brand, and I have a bunch of new tag that is selling 30% of retail price. Yeah, that totally makes sense. Yeah, we sold some shorts recently that were about that.
So I'm the trend is asking if they have credit on their account, like for OfferUp. I don't think they offer credit on OfferUp.
They do not.
Yeah.
They do not offer credit on OfferUp. But
she paid cash, actually.
She paid cash, which is another reason we love OfferUp.
Yeah.
Mariah 19, good morning, and fabulous fashions for you. Good morning, and Six Creative Concepts. Good morning. Good morning, Karen. How you doing today?
And that's why when someone asks us like, how do you price your items, there's really no one straight answer, one definite answer, because it depends. It really depends.
Yeah, it may be different for everyone, but there are definitely some pricing strategies out there.
So number 3 is offer bundle pricing. For us, we offer on Poshmark is if you buy 2 or more items, you get 15% off. So any kind of discount deals that you can create would certainly help boost your sales. This applies to eBay as well. You could do a lot of promotions. You can have maybe a promotion for summer clothes, 15% off. That if you have a store on eBay, it'll allow you to do that.
Yeah, and I mean there is a basic pricing 101 rule. We're going to talk about it later, and it's all kind of connected. So just keep that in mind when we get there. So the bundles on Poshmark, you can set your store where if they buy 2 or more items, 3 or more items, it's up to you. You can provide a discount. So that's really nice. But on other platforms where they don't have that option, you can bundle things yourself and you can discount items yourself, right? So, I mean, if you're going to sell something in a bundle, you want to give people an incentive to buy that. So you do want to maybe lower your price a little bit. However, it's different for Amazon. And it might even be different for eBay because there is such a thing where if you bundle on Amazon, and like I said, even eBay, you can actually raise the price. You don't actually have to lower it and give them a deal. You could actually raise a price. So this is where bundling, I think we may have a little bit of a misconception where it's like, yeah, you should lower the price if you give them more. But actually, if you're giving them more already, you're saving them time. So let's think of like a mother who's buying clothes for her kids. And all she has to do is click one time and she'll get like a bundle of shirts and shorts or shirts and pants for her kids. You're saving the mother time. So you don't actually have to lower your prices a whole lot, because that's got value within itself. So good morning, TrishFan99. The trend is asking you guys if you find the story feature on Poshmark helpful. So you guys can answer in the comments. We actually don't have the story feature yet.
Yeah.
And I think Bill was also asking from 324 Finds if earlier on he asked a question about pictures. He said, anybody get the added photos for Posh? So what does that mean? Does that mean like
you can
put more photos?
Yeah.
So how many photos can you do now?
I think 8 right now, if I remember.
Okay.
Correctly.
So Bill, would you mind sharing? It sounds like maybe you got the added photos for Posh. So like how many more photos are you allowed to put on there now?
I remember when we went to, you can list 16. Oh, that's a lot.
So TrishFan99 says, I don't have that feature or the 16 photos. Okay, and then the trend says you can list 16 photos.
I remember when we went to Posh Fest, they announced a story feature, and a lot of people got excited because you could do video of an item. So let's say you could do like a 360 of a pair of shoes. Maybe it helps boost sales. I'm not sure. I think they need to test it out.
I have a question on the stories, and those of you who have the stories on Poshmark, can you upload videos that you make at home like TikTok, or is it only like live, like you have to push a button? So Lynn's Closet LLC says, love the stories, and yes, I have additional photos.
Awesome.
All right, so
okay, number 4, less is more. And by less is more, we mean the more rare the item is, the higher you can price your item. So if your item is vintage, rare, or doesn't even exist online, you can name your price. So we have put an example out there. We went to an estate sale, and the person who owned this stuff, he had a lot of Coca-Cola collectibles, and we found this toilet seat that is branded as Coca-Cola. So as we were shopping, we were like, how much would this cost? Let's look at the comps. it did not exist online. So I couldn't find it anywhere. A Coca-Cola toilet seat, even if you Google now, we're the only ones who had it.
Yeah.
So we bought it, and we named our price.
Okay, so a couple things on that. That also gives you a negotiation edge, the fact that it's not online, right? So you can negotiate that really low, and then
Yeah.
you can maybe sell it pretty darn high, right?
Yeah.
So we named our price, and it sold very quickly. You can find that seat cover. We have this free, a freebie. If you go to our bio, you could enter your email address and get the download right away of the top 20 items we sold in last year in 2019. This was one of them. So yeah.
Can you guys guess how much we sold that toilet seat for? If you were to name your price, how much would it be?
We're very conservative when we name our own prices. But that is definitely the fun part of getting rare items. And I got to give props to Michelle on that, because I would have never picked up that toilet seat cover. And she totally was like, oh, like excited about this. And I was like, all right, let's see where it goes.
$500. I wish. I am the trend.
And it's sold on Poshmark of all places.
Yeah.
We sold a toilet seat cover on Poshmark.
Yep.
All right.
I think Mrs. Taylor is close. So we sold it for $120.
Yeah.
For a toilet seat. But I don't know what they're going to use it for.
Probably, I think they're going to use it to decorate their bathroom. It's a toilet seat cover.
Yeah.
So, okay, number 5 says mark up your price by 30%. Always expect offers. I think what she means by that is like, look, at the bottom of the day, this is your business, and you need to be happy with your prices, right? Because like, imagine if you have clothes or items you're selling and you're always giving it away. So you're probably going to be depressed. Like, you're probably not going to be happy about that, right? So at the end of the day, you need to be happy with whatever profit you're making. So if you have a desired selling price of $20 on an item, mark up the price at that point, right? So you can mark it up by 20 to 30%. And so we do that, right? So if we want to sell something for $20, we'll probably list it for about $28. And then that gives us room for negotiation, right? Mm-hmm. So good morning, Eco Exchange. Thanks for joining us this morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, really on Poshmark. I mean, yeah, we were very surprised. The person who bought it actually found us on a Google search, I think. They had to create a Poshmark account just to purchase a toilet seat cover. So that was a cool story.
All right. So the profit margin really depends on a couple of things. One is really the cost of goods, how much you bought the item for. What are they selling for in the market? How rare or how popular is this item? Is it easy to find? If it's just a regular t-shirt that you could find, of course, your profit margin would be a little lower. And it also depends on how much you're spending on shipping and handling. So, not for clothes, but for bigger items like a vintage television, you gotta make sure you think about, okay, how much does it cost? Does it cost to wrap, use all the bubble wrap, foam wrap, and everything? Add those costs into your pricing too.
Yeah, for us, the way we like to source pre-pandemic times, right? Now we're still kind of navigating through how our sourcing is. It's changing a lot. But before, we used to like to buy items for like a couple bucks at garage sales. That's kind of our business model. And we like to get $15 or higher profit on every single item. And, we're lucky when we do that and make $50 or $100 on an item, right? So that's our strategy. Mm-hmm. Now, post-pandemic, our strategy changed a little bit. We're buying some new items. They're, more expensive. Profit margins are still what we want, which is like, 15 to $20 an item. And so and it's also like the demand, like what's selling right now. Well, guess what? In California and many of the states, restaurants, businesses are going to open up. And if you guys saw like some of the government requirements for business owners is like they're going to need a thermometer checker. So go, look up buy some thermometer checkers and sell them online. Those are going to sell like hotcakes, right? Employers are going to need to provide their employees with masks and maybe even hand sanitizers. So all of those things, like keeping up with the trends to make money, you can look into. So we do have a question. We want to post it up so you guys could see it. So here's a question on pricing from Mrs. Taylor, 503. She says, do you price at $25 and at $50 on Poshmark so that it shows up in both price filters? So she said, so list it for $50 instead of $49. That way it shows up in the 25 through, I can't finish reading the sticker there. I think it says 25 through $50 filter.
So I think what Mrs. Taylor meant was when you buy as a buyer, you can click on the pricing. I never thought of that. That's an interesting strategy. That's not part of our equation, but it's actually food for thought.
It is. And we don't usually, that's really awesome that you brought that up. I think most of our items on Poshmark are below $50. Yeah. And we price, we price between 25 and 50, most of our items. Yep. That is what we do. So very few items are below 25 that we price on Poshmark. And
just my personal opinion as a shopper, as a buyer, if I want an item, I always know there's room for negotiation. So maybe that is why I don't really click on the pricing, because even if it's, more than $50, I think I can make an offer for less than 50.
Yeah, her strategy is good though. Yeah, that was a really good point. So you gave us food for thought. Does anyone have an answer for her? Do you guys look into strategizing your pricing in that manner on Poshmark so it shows up a certain way? So, all right. So we have some comments here from everyone. It says here that 324 Finds from Washington says, looks like we're moving into phase 2 soon. Mm-hmm. And Mrs. Taylor 503 says, I've been trying it out for a couple weeks. And have you been noticing more sales, Mrs. Taylor 503? We're going to have to look into that ourselves. All right. So are we finished with this one, Michelle?
Yep. Good morning, Holy Thompson Posh. Happy Tuesday. Okay. Number 7, don't lowball pricing just to undercut the competition. So this is something I think we need to do as a whole, as a reselling community, is don't mark your prices down, even if the item is probably worth a little bit more, because there are competition out there who just wants to sell a lot and make a profit of $5 or $1 even. Or $1. But our recommendation is not to lowball it. The pricing is connected to your perceived quality. So the lower your prices are compared with the competition, the less appealing your products look. It's very interesting because Marina and I had this discussion before. I initially always think, so this person is selling it for $15, we should lower it. But interestingly, as a buyer, for buyers, they actually wouldn't mind paying more if in their perception, the quality is a better item.
So it comes down to what kind of a buyer are you? Do you like, good quality at low prices, or are you willing to pay a little bit more for higher quality items? This is a very real, psychological thing, where if you price low, the perceived quality of the item goes down with that lower price. And equally, if you price higher, the perceived quality goes up. So, we always have to logically think about that when we are feeling like, oh man, this hasn't sold for a while, let's lower the price. That is not, in our opinion, the best way to price items. And as we mentioned a few moments ago, actually Michelle retook pictures of items that we had stale. She relisted it, and because they're in season, they sold immediately at our asking price, and this was actually on Poshmark. So that's kind of an example. Something else though, we sometimes buy brand new clothes, and they're usually unique. They're unique clothes, they're trendy, they're like pop culture, you could say. And when you have more than one item of the same thing, especially on a place like Poshmark where people like to negotiate, you want to be careful that you, or even eBay, right? You want to be careful that you are not undercutting yourself, because it just takes that one time where you're like, okay, I want $25 for the shirt, but I'll let it go for 22. And if someone else comes around, you haven't had a sale, and you're like, they offer you 18 and you take it, it's not a good idea, because you've all of a sudden designated $18 in pricing to all of your future shirts, because people can go in your history and see what you've sold it at before, and they can use that as a negotiation tool. So pricing 101, what I mentioned to you guys earlier about is exactly that, is if you lower your price at any given moment, then that is your price. So, and this is like across the board for all retailers. The Gap, right? The Gap back in the 90s used to be a very trendy, if you guys are familiar with that time, it used to be very trendy. It wasn't cheap. It was on the more expensive side. But over time, they got into discounting their stuff highly. So now the Gap is known as a discount store, right? So that's just an example of pricing, and you can apply that to your individual stores as well. So we have a comment from 324 Finds. He said, depending on the sold price, with that cushion, hardly any full prices sales since COVID. And I think he's talking about pricing his items. He also said it depends also on any flaws as well, what you price your items at, for sure. Mrs. Taylor, let's see here, I'm gonna have to do this. Mrs. Taylor 503 says, yes, more likes and sales, because those that aren't as savvy about negotiating use the price filter. When they are using the $25 to $50 filter, they think it's a deal. So that's really cool. Thanks for sharing that. And Mrs. Taylor 503 says, love point number 7, which is about not lowballing, and we have more to share on that. I am the trend says, I feel like Posh pushes rock bottom pricing. I have to, Michelle's shaking her head yes, I guess she agrees with you.
Yeah.
And good morning, King Arthur Curry. Good morning, Krista Lee.
And I am the trend in response to your comment. Something that's interesting is something we could sell on Poshmark. Let's say the hoodie that we sold 2 days ago on Etsy, we sold it at $45, but on Poshmark it was listed at $30.
And nobody bought it.
And nobody bought it. So that's the craziest thing, is people think higher pricing is better quality, and Poshmark, I think as a community, the prices tend to be a little lower.
Yeah. But also remember what we talked about earlier with our offer up example. There's a customer for every platform. If you guys have an Etsy store, if you don't, make sure you start one. But customers that go on Etsy are expecting to pay more money, and they're looking for novelty items.
Yeah.
Right? So they don't mind paying that money, and they expect a higher quality when they get the item. So that was very interesting to note. One last thing about point 7 that I did want to share with you guys was, and this is really, really apparent on Amazon. And so if you're not huge or a seller on Amazon, I mean, this is good to know anyway, right? That's one of the largest selling platforms for resellers. And so good morning, A Vintage Joy Life. So on Amazon, the difference between Amazon and like Poshmark, eBay, you know, all the other platforms is that when you send items to Amazon, you're expecting those items turn over very quickly. So when you send items to Amazon, you are paying for a storage fee. You're paying Amazon to store your items. So you want them to sell fast. So you do research, you know, you send items that are going to sell. Now, newer sellers on Amazon who are maybe used to, like us, we're used to pricing low or whatever. When they first start selling on Amazon, they do that, right? The more experienced sellers don't do that. The more experienced sellers will, you know, price the item at the going rate or higher and wait for it to sell, because it will sell. There's such a large demand. Now, the problem is when you price low to undercut the competition is that you are not going to win with that, because imagine the item is $10, so you price it at $9. So your competition comes, prices it at $8, and then someone prices it at 7, do you see what I'm saying? So then what happens is that the prices go to the bottom and all of you lose, right? So the best strategy, and we're currently selling books on Amazon, the best strategy is that everyone sees, okay, the lowest guy that's selling this item is at $10. I'm going to price it the same, and then I'm just going to wait for it to sell. So that's the best strategy.
That's really good advice.
All right, so Mrs. Taylor 503 says, just listen to your Etsy podcast yesterday, and I'm going to get Etsy set up because of it. Congratulations. Yes, give it some time, and we promise you're not going to regret that. Congratulations on that. Thanks for sharing.
Okay, number 8, and we've talked about this with different resellers too. Consider accepting negotiated prices. So especially nowadays, during the pandemic, I think we all agree that it's better to accept best offer. Always include best offer option to attract shoppers interested in making deals. So best offer, Poshmark already has that function. Don't worry about Etsy. Etsy shoppers they like to pay for the price, the actual price. Mercari also has that function. So consider accepting more offers because, especially eBay, they kind of boost your listing if you do accept offers more often.
We do have a question here.
But don't accept lowball offers.
Yeah, don't accept lowball offers. But if it's within your, you feel comfortable rate, then you can accept those. And the question here is from Reseller. She says, I have some vintage dresses for my mom. I have no idea how to price them. I want to sell them on Etsy. I tried to look them up and I didn't find anything. Okay, so I am going to direct, we're going to direct you guys. So Reseller, actually Bill from 324 Finds, who's in here today, his wife, Girly Girl Style. And actually Sarah Styles, I believe you do it too, right? Yeah. You guys sell on vintage clothes on Etsy. Do you guys have any recommendations for resales in terms of pricing? And there's another reseller. If you guys can put it in the comments for her to follow and ask questions. We sell a few vintage items, clothing items. But something you can do also, resales, is you can test the market. You can price really high, again, whatever is comfortable for you. If you don't find the exact item on comps, find something similar. And you can, wait. You can play the waiting game, and you can play around with pricing. So if nothing is biting, you can lower it a little bit. Oh, another really good one is LA Retro Girl. If you're not already following her on Instagram, she sells all vintage items on Instagram. Her prices are they're on the higher side, and she does really well. So check her out as well. Yeah,
another tool Ria sells is 2 more tips. One is, think about it. Is this something you would buy? And if you were to buy it, how much would you pay for it? So that's tip number 1. And number 2 is, since I have a marketing background, it's all about marketing too. Take really good photos. In the description, talk about like the material, talk about how rare the item is, what makes it so cool and vintage. So test it out, using those 2 tips. If you think, hey, I wouldn't mind paying $60 for this, put it at $60. And then, we have our reselling community out there. Sarah Styles can help. Bill can also maybe offer some advice.
All right, so we have our last point before we head out to our daily jobs. And this is not the right one, sorry. We replaced it with this one, which is if you want a higher profit on your items, choose items that have a higher average sale price. That's the bottom line, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so do your research, go on eBay, look at all the comps, take some notes, and become laser focused at what you source, right? Stop spending time and taking the lower items if you don't want to, and then you will have higher profits. So good morning, your favorite Jenna. How you doing? So I think we're done with pricing for today. Did you want to do something?
I can have a couple more minutes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, my meeting's at 10:30.
Okay.
So always remember, when you price your products, cover the cost of marketing. employees if you want to have a VA, expenses, shipping, and supplies.
I have to say the most important one, though, is your time.
Yeah, your
right?
time.
So is it worth for you selling an item where you make $5 profit if it's going to take you 10 to 20 minutes to, well, it shouldn't take you that long, but hopefully. But if it's going to take you 10 to 20 minutes to package, is it even worth your time? If the answer is no, raise the price on it. Take new pictures.
Also, talking about time, think about the fact that you have to go out there to the store and pick the item and take photos and list it, especially vintage items. We sold vintage cameras, and it's hard to find those cameras. So it takes an effort for someone to actually treasure hunt and get those items for them. So that's money too.
Good morning, Austin Dolu. How you doing this morning? All right, so anything else? Okay. So we're going to go now. Thank you for joining us on Tuesday, on this beautiful Tuesday. Remember to list 17 items across platforms. If you need some help, check out vendu.co. It's a cross-listing platform. You can find it in the link in our bio if you are not familiar with it yet. And also, if you want to hear this again, we're going to upload it to our podcast, which is available on Apple Podcasts and Spotify Podcasts under the Flippin Gals podcast. So if you are a listener, thank you very, very much. And if you don't mind rating us, we have a few ratings on there. We would love some more. And any questions you have, you can reach us through DM.
And if you guys want us to talk about a certain topic, please DM us. We would love to discuss on things that you want to know about.
All right. Well, Six Creative Concepts says, thank you so much, more than you know. Thank you, Karen, more than you know. And Mrs. Taylor says, thanks, Flippin' Gals. So have a wonderful day, guys.